Hello, and welcome back to the Modeling Success in Action podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today I am joined by the beautiful Olesia Gatz. Now, she is a registered holistic nutritionist and French trained chef who teaches health and wellness practitioners how to use Instagram as a business building tool, not an influencer playground. With 11 years of scaling her own and other businesses through strategic social media, she's developed a system that doesn't rely on trends or algorithm shifts. By day, she works with functional genetics and metabolic markers, and by night, you'll find her testing recipes, dancing hip hop, and building her own practice through social media. Welcome to the show, Alessia.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for having me. I am really excited about this today.
I'm so glad to have you here. Right before we hopped on the call, we were touching base. You and I have, we're starting to cook up a project that's coming down the pipeline. Eventually, we're going to be having some health and wellness practitioners in the office here at Pleasant Hypnosis to start to kind of model you and the strategy that you've developed because of your own experience. And so I thought that that would kind of be a really beautiful place to start with, what has your experience been? Because a lot of the time when I talk to people about social media, they're going, oh, like, I don't even want to do that. I don't want to go there. And you're like throwing yourself headlong into it. So what's your mood about it? What's your attitude about it? How do you what's your experience been like?
Yeah, oh my God, I'm so excited to share this. And, I'm very excited to talk about it specifically because I used to be that same exact person because I was like, oh my God, the trends, the dances, the editing, like, oh my goodness, and I think me, myself, and other people tend to say things like, oh, I have to do Instagram. I have to do social media, and for many years, that's exactly how I felt about it. And then recently, I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, I completely reframed this in my head, and it really just changed honestly my whole life. I just one day I was like, you know, tend to always say I have to. And there is this like common reframe in the health and wellness work, right? Like, don't say I have to. Think about that you get to, right? Like, you don't have to exercise, you get to exercise. You don't have to eat healthy, you get to eat healthy. And so I was thinking about it from the perspective of Instagram and social media. And I was like, what about I actually get to do Instagram? And to elaborate more on this point is that my very first education is in journalism, and I used to work in the newsrooms, and I know a lot about TV work and things like that. And back in the days, as a practitioner, as a business owner, as like literally anyone, in order to get on the platform where we could share our thoughts, where we could, talk to our target audience, we would have to pitch ourselves to the TV channel for years and probably never get anywhere. And now we actually get to put ourselves out there and to connect directly to the person that we would like to
Mhm.
talk to the most. And we really get to build our life from the place of abundance and the place of great opportunities. And I really would like people to start feeling about social media this way. And this is kind of like the place I'm coming from. And this is what I would love to teach.
Yeah, and it really is and we get to do it for free too, because you're right. If you ever got that feature on the morning show, it was probably after you spent thousands and thousands of dollars on ads in between. And then they were like, oh, we have this
Yep.
relationship now. Yes, now you can come on the show. But we have this waiting audience available to us for free. We get to. That's
Yeah.
so cool. Okay, so when you shifted yourself into that I get to mindset, then what happened?
So, well, first of all, I don't want to sound cheesy, but when I shifted my mindset into I get to, I've got a lot of opportunities out of Instagram, like a lot of things that I, weren't even expecting. And before I jump into it, I just want to really make this distinction between building your Instagram as sort of like an aspiring influencer and actually building your Instagram as a business owner or as a practitioner. Because sometimes what happens, people kind of build their Instagram as a practitioner or as a business owner, following the strategy of the, influencers, right? Like get more likes, get on the trend wagon, do this. And that's how they burn out, because that is not for everyone. This is a very specific kind of niche, but that's how Instagram and social media in general are taught to people the most. Like, this is how you hit the views, this is how you hit this. And for me, my strategy and my kind of worldview on this is completely different, because I'm not trying to, have 5 million followers and get like random things sent to me all the time. I want to build and scale my business. I want to connect and build a community. And I want to be creative, and I want to, create a kind of multifaceted, multi-income business out of my authentic presence on Instagram. So it's a very, very different concept. Like we're not aspiring influencers. I mean, if someone is, good for you. but for me, I really am not that person. And so what I got after shifting my perspective is that I got a lot of opportunities from my Instagram. A lot of clients have found me through Instagram organically, even without the ads. And honestly, like some of the people who found me through Instagram specifically has been some of my kind of most loyal clients. Some of them turned into my like best friends. It's incredible. It's been an amazing journey in terms of client base building, as well as I've got a lot of other collaborations. Like I was teaching at Culinary School of Natural Nutrition for 3 years, their culinary holistic diploma, because I've been essentially showing up on social media in a way, talking about my background as a French trained chef, teaching people cooking for free online. And that resonated with them. And then I got a lot of other amazing opportunities, like here and there, for collaborations, for events, for, leading workshops, and they just keep on coming. And the other thing, really, what I've got is the mindset change helped me not being so stuck in my way of like, oh, this is so hard. Oh, I hate doing this, And for me, it's amazing because now I'm like, I get to create, like, it's just the energy is completely different. Like the ideas, and like, I have so many ideas. When I was approaching Instagram, it's like, oh, I have to post today. I had zero ideas. I was like, I don't know what to say. And now I just like, I can't keep up with all of my ideas and kind of, putting them out there. Honestly, I'm like, I feel like I have to have like a second Olesia to put out everything. But yeah, it's really been interesting change.
Right? It's amazing when you take the pressure off. It's kind of like taking the kink out of the hose, and all of a sudden you can have the flow come through, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So when all of a
What
sudden
a
you
good
get
way to put
to,
it.
right? Yeah. But it's exactly it, right? When humans are in stress, right? Like we're in survival mode, right? Like no new ideas are coming. They're going, let's just keep the lights on here, right? And then
Yeah.
once you're like, hey, you're free to go ahead and do what you need to do. The lights are staying on, right? Like we're okay. Then,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, then things can start moving. So is that the biggest mistake that you see from practitioners like on Instagram, is thinking that they're following this, model of being an influencer, or is there something else that they're doing wrong?
I think what there's certainly this, yeah, like just all of the strategies that are being advertised, they're mostly targeted to like, that influencer model. And so when people compare themselves to that, and like it feels to them that it doesn't work because that's not like what, their profiles look like. And so, but the other thing really, I kind of was just meeting with a friend and talking a lot about it yesterday, is so a few years ago when Instagram kind of just was booming, especially for like practitioners like you and I, people were putting out a lot of information, a lot of educational materials, right? And so, and now people kind of keep on doing this, like the dreaded top 5 whatever, right? Like top 5 of this and that. And or like breaking down things in a really like long format, which is incredibly valuable too. But people get kind of too focused on that model and too focused on like putting out information and education. And it is important to recognize that the one thing we don't have a shortage of anymore, thanks to ChatGPT and other, AI models, is information. Like there's no lack of information whatsoever. So just, kind of repeating things and like telling people about, certain tips and tricks or whatever, doesn't really move the needle for people anymore. But what we have a huge lack of is human connection, ability to, recognize a human across the screen who kind of feels the same way or been through the same thing or just understands you on a very deep level. This is something that we do still have lack of. And honestly, it's like getting only worse. And so for me, when I work with practitioners and teach them how to do their social media in the right way, I always talk about the secret sauce of being that authentic you, of putting forward your values, of communicate. And there's so many ways of doing it. It's just like it doesn't have to be just straightforward. I believe in this, and this is like my this is what I think is good. Like, no, it can be through, even the visuals and the ways like you're telling your story and the ways you're just communicating, like the choice of words that you're, putting out there. And so, building that human connection, building that rapport is one of the most important things. I've had multiple clients reach out to me and be like, I want to work with you. Like, I don't want to work, like, I want to work with a nutritionist, but like, I want to work with you specifically. And the way I know that I want to work with you is because I went and like stalked you on Instagram a little bit and like how you talk and, how you joke and, your personality and what you believe in, your values resonated so much that I really wanted to, to be with you and to have this journey with you specifically. And also, I think it's very important. The like a very important part of this is that finding the way to communicate it is one of the hardest things, because people say, oh, show up as, yourself.
Yeah.
But what is it? That is probably the hardest thing. And that's kind of what I unpack when I work with people and explain how I've done it and how I've done it for other businesses and other practitioners.
Yeah, and it's interesting too, like the idea of authenticity, right? Because like who you are when you're being a practitioner might be someone different from who you are when you're hanging out with your best friends from elementary school versus who you are when you're, running around after your kids or when you're in the office, right? Like so it's different, and it's kind of going, which version of you do you want to have showing up there, and and how do you want to feel about that? Yeah, because
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
I was going to say a lot of people, like, they worry about even just how they're going to be perceived if that authentic version is, the quote unquote right version.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to say that um, showing up as authentic self, just because a lot of people have worry about it doesn't mean that you have to get very personal and be like, this is my dog and this is my child and this is my husband and this is what we, wear on the couch watching TV at night. Like that is not it. Like I'm a little bit more personal. Like I do show my life behind the scenes all the time, just because that's kind of who I am and how I communicate with my clients. But it doesn't have to be this way at all. Like I've been doing those series where I just narrate my thinking process about how I choose food and like how I eat and how I think about certain things, during my day. And that is also personal. Like that is not, I only talk about nutrition, food, health. Like I don't talk about, again, like what my friend and I did on Saturday night. Like I'm talking about this very specific thing that is relevant to my business, but still keeping it true to myself and showing up with my values, um, you know, together.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I guess that really does translate onto the page. Somebody who is more personal or like who is more private rather than the stuff that they're going to be, maybe they won't be bringing into their private life, but somebody who's maybe more, self-expressive or really gregarious or likes to have people in there. Maybe they're doing like, get ready with me thing and you're seeing them, barefaced and they're telling you about their latest client that they had, right? Like, so it could
Sure.
right? I can see how the level of who you are and what you're comfortable with will translate to how you show up on the page. So I guess that kind of loops back to it's not about the trends, it's not about the algorithms, right? So walk us through then a real example of what it would look like for, a practitioner to go from like maybe this kind of scattered, maybe they're trying to be an influencer, maybe they're scattered, maybe they're only posting once in a while to actually, creating a way of using it to leverage clients. Like you had said, like you leverage it to get job positions and clients that actually wanted to see you and that felt aligned with your messaging. Cause I mean, I think that everyone goes, wow, if there's a client that comes pre-vetted and they already know that they want to work with me and that they align with how I'm going to be working with them, like who wouldn't want clients like that? So how do you get
Yeah,
practitioners to get there?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a very specific framework within which I work, and big part of it we will be showcasing at our workshop in May. But basically, the where I usually start when we get through onboarding is that we start with recognizing a people's non-negotiable values and something that they actually want to show up on the page immediately. Like, like sometimes you go to a person's page and you just know exactly what they're about. Like, what their beliefs are, what kind of their energy is, like, how they perceive themselves in the world, how they interact with others. It's just like so crystal clear on the page. So that's kind of where, we get into right off the bat. So we want to nail exactly what those values look like, what people want to translate through their page. And then we also look at things, of course, what their ideal client looks like, right? Because you want to talk to your ideal client and you want them to find you, and vice versa. And so we, if needed, like if they're still a little bit foggy on like what it looks like, we do marketing research to determine who that is. And I have a lot of different tools that I put together over many, many years of doing this. I've now been doing this for 11 years. So it's been, I feel like
Wow.
it's crazy because like social media is fairly new. And I'm like, yeah, I've got on it, when it just, before it
Mhm.
became a trend, let's put it this way. Right. And so get really clear on who the ideal client is, and then we get to work step by step. So there is a big process that we go through, just to kind of, again, just to get very clear on the messaging, the values, the client, the how the messages are delivered. There's so many formats on, how to actually communicate the same message across, right? Like, again, when I talk about food on my Instagram to my clients, I show the same. I can show the same idea through, just a text. I can show the same idea through the visual. Like I had this. I started this series where, you know, putting together common thoughts that people have when there's like, oh, I've eaten a cookie, might as well eat a bag of cookies. And what I do, I just like pour, when you, for example, make an oatmeal and you pour a little bit of oatmeal outside of your pot, and I just pour the whole jar out because it's like, well, I already escaped, might as well just put it all, right? So really putting different ways of communication. There's also this belief, like I've done a lot of social media marketing training, so I haven't just got it all through my practice, but I actually have studied all of those things over the years. And if you can show something, instead of saying it or writing it, show it, right? So like, how do we communicate with people visually, and also just utilizing all of the other tools available to us. And so, and another thing that we kind of, the training that we have to go through, unfortunately, I'm sorry about it, but really the attention span have changed. We all know that it have. And so how do we, and even if we have the most incredibly important message, if people are not gonna read or watch or hear till the end, we're not gonna get it across. So how
Oh
do we do
man.
it? How do we get people to actually hear us out, right? So I talk about all of those approaches as well. There are, good practices and not great practices. So yeah, there's a lot of to unpack, but it's absolutely doable. And I think everyone should do it.
I
I'm
think that,
biased.
that last part is key too, because it really does speak to the reality, right? Like we need to be in reality with this, right? And if we're hoping and praying and going, hey, but I've got all this amazing information and people should want to listen to it and whatever, right? And it really is like being in la la land, right? You want to be, in reality with the actual things that are happening with what people are actually capable of. Somebody sent me a video the other day and it was 4 minutes long. And I remember thinking, oh, that's far too long. It was 4 minutes. And I was like, I don't have time for that. Like,
I mean, I don't blame you. I understand.
I was like, I could give this a minute and a half. Like, that's all the bandwidth I have for this, Like, I had 4 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
why now when they publish, like articles in the online magazines, they do like, if you only have like under 1 minute,
Here's the
these are the
summary.
key takeaways. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Too long, didn't read, right? Like,
Yeah. Yep.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. And that's just the way that it is. So figuring out a way to still, make an impact. I love how you said, the visual. I think that's why like my hose metaphor, really hit. You're like, yeah, because you can see it, right? It's very clear when you have a visual, right? Like dumping all the oats on the counter, right? It's obvious that that's an overreaction to a small thing that's happened, right? So I love that. So then, okay, so if people are feeling overwhelmed, right? If they are the people who are waking up and they're going, ugh, right? Where is one place that they would start? Like, what's the first thing that they want to do to start modeling you beyond the shifting to I get to? Because obviously we're going to shift our frame. We're all going to realize that we get this amazing free resource that we have access to where we can directly talk to our people. I mean, like, realize that you can DM like small celebrities. Like you can reach out to people that maybe you never had access to before because of this amazing platform. You have access to so many people. So the I get to is pretty incredible. So beyond that, what's the first place that they're starting if they want to be modeling you?
Okay. And before I jump into it, I just wanted to say I really would love to challenge you to make the hose video.
Yeah.
and you tag me. That's how you get unstuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Okay. I love the
Um,
challenge.
I know. Yeah. So, well, the very first thing to start, I actually I have developed a workbook on that. So I have a free workbook, which I think, can link to this podcast today. And so people can just go and download the workbook, and there are prompts that they can fill out. And this already sort of will start narrowing down their focus, because I think what is very important, the very important distinction to understand is that, of course, there's a way of, you just put out there random content, Canva templated with some tips and tricks and, some of your thoughts or whatnot. But you will actually be working more, not less, because you will be kind of just throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, which typically doesn't. And so for me, I encourage people to actually do less but better. Like, this is my New Year resolution this year, is like, do less but better. And this honestly applies to everything, right? Like health, wellness, fitness. Just do less, but do it really, really well. don't overwhelm your system, right? Because that's also stressful, and stress is no bueno. So I would say getting crystal clear. In the workbook, I help people specifically narrow down what are the values, what is their unique personal brand offering that they can present to people. What does it look like? What is the core of their business looks like, and how to communicate it to people. And I would say this is the best place to start. Whenever I open a new business, and I have quite a few, and whenever I start working with my one-on-one clients who are practitioners, improving their social media presence for as a business tool, that's where we start. And then it actually gets way less overwhelming, because now you're like, okay, I only have to focus on this handful of things, as opposed to just like, here's the random trend, here's the random dance, here's the random post, and it's just too much.
Mhm. I love that it really does start from beliefs and values, because I think that that's where all change starts from, right? When we're modeling people, we're looking at what do they believe and what are their values about it, and then what's their attitude, that, and how do they act in those things, and we're kind of trickling down from there. And even, when I'm working with my hypnosis clients, the idea here is that they're not making a change because they're simply changing their habits, because they're changing intrinsically what they value and who they are, right? Like, you valuing your body in a different way is going to allow you to approach your health differently, right? You valuing, letting go of stress, and you valuing yourself in a different way is going to let you, approach letting go and forgiveness and all of that. So I love that, what are they valuing is the first question of how they can start to shift the way that they're showing up online to get that impact on their business.
Yeah.
So
And
cool.
one little thing that got me
Mhm.
unstuck in the first place was actually thinking about my presence on social media. Like, I think about my clients changing their eating habits. And what I mean by this is that, how sometimes people are just like, they try a lot of things to excuse themselves from eating enough vegetables, or to
Mhm.
eating enough fiber, or to like doing the one thing that will actually truly matter. And I felt the same way about my social media. I'd be like, well, I'll just go and do this bajillion other things that weren't really, helping anything. But I was excusing myself from doing this one thing that really moved the needle by the end of the day. And so that's the mindset shift right there.
Yeah.
And I actually love leveraging the way I coach my clients about food to
Mhm.
coach myself about business and social media,
Yeah,
because it's the
clear
same
out
thing.
all those distractions and level about what actually needs to happen here.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so we're gonna make sure that the link to your workbook is directly under this podcast, so that people can have it in the caption, so that they can get that and take action on it right away. All of your details are going to be there as well, so that they can reach out, they can start working with you. Of course, we're going to include your Instagram and handle. Everybody go out and follow her. She's an excellent model for what it looks like to show up online. Thank you so much for being on the show and sharing your perspective on this, your model of the world. I'm sure that a lot of us out there, whether we are health and wellness practitioners or otherwise, can really step into your shoes as a way to kind of figure out how to show up authentically and in a way that's useful, rather than just throwing that spaghetti at the wall. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much, Jessica. You're such a great person to talk about this as a behavior change specialist. I know you understand exactly how valuable all those things are. So thank you so much.